What is metta? Metta bhavana, in words, is generally understood to mean the cultivation of kindness, or loving kindness, or just non-aversion, which doesn't go down, isn't quite so rapturous sounding thing. So I send you all my non-aversion. It's called, sometimes it's talked about radiating it or suffusing. So it's what can we actually radiate? What does that mean? A kind of a reaching out, and we could call it a heart quality, a reaching out of the heart, a way in which the emotional, devotional heart quality pervades our experience. And metta bhavana, this cultivation is internally, externally, near, far, to the high, to the low, to the indifferent, to the hostile. This is the way in which these are the words that are used to express it: boundless, unlimited. So it's that reaching out and that kind of boundless sensitivity and goodwill. You could say it's really like freedom from ill will. The heart space, if you go to it, if you can recognize that your feeling, your basic mood, how what happens when you consider yourself, your people you live with, people around you. Does anything come up? Does it just go, well, so what? Nothing much. Or is there maybe a self-consciousness, a certain feeling of, like a shrinking feeling? Or an oppressed feeling? People around you, nuisance, burden, hassle, getting on top of me. Or a feeling of basic mistrust, mistrust of others, or mistrust of yourself. Feeling of feeling bad about yourself. For not particularly any particular reason, just a basic mood, a kind of ground level mood. Sometimes this space is not really even looked at. It's assumed, and we tend to act from that place. Our thoughts, our assumptions, our basic immediate reactions and perceptions of others. And maybe it's different for you for different people. You get these things like authority figures or mother figures or father figures or whatever, and then those archetypes that are in our heart, and we see them enacted around us. So you see a father figure, and it may be nice to you. Somebody represents that, and you're feeling trust and care and someone who's helpful. Or it may be the tyrant. The one, the authority who is always kind of putting you down. And these are not thought. Sometimes they come into thoughts, but often they're just basic instincts. And to the point in which they're not even recognised as external anymore, and they're not even recognised as being projected upon other people. That is, you don't even realise that you feel that person is a tyrant to you or a threat. It can go to the point where you just immediately start to feel bad. Somebody else is around, and you don't even get to the point of imagining that somebody else out there is hostile. You just immediately feel threatened, or you feel bad about yourself, or you feel inadequate. You start apologising for your own existence already, before anything's happened. Or you feel the loneliness, so that other people tend to make you feel lonely rather than together. You feel left out, misfit. And these are things that are often left unresolved, not even questioned. And then we meditate, and from that position of what we feel ourselves to be, I need to get away, I need to be alone, I need to find somebody or whatever, without questioning or really, why? What is it that what's the matter? And for most people this is not a kind of universal every moment of the day experience, but it comes and goes in waves. Feeling of like a lack of self-regard, worthless, you don't count. You're at the end of the line, it doesn't really matter what happens to you anyway. If you home in on those perceptions and moods, and just look at it a little bit clearly, this is off, isn't it? But you can be, if you don't focus on it, you can be just continually acting, trying to please people, trying to make sure you're approved of, liked, you're as good as the next, that in no way could any blame be apportioned to you. So you always do more, and feeling you've got to keep up. And you never relax. And that's still that sense of nagging inadequacy haunts you. Sometimes it can be much more powerful than that, real bitterness and towards yourself or towards others, things strong memories and just really stuck in you that you can hardly remember without feeling just powerful anger and bitterness arising. But always the experience is one, whether it's subtle or heavy, whether it's how continual it is or how momentary it is, it's always one where we're kind of shut in. Our freedom is taken away. We're kind of shut into a space. There's no expansiveness, no radiance. So much so that we don't see loving kindness or the radiance of the heart as a natural experience, or just a normal experience, a way of being. We see it as maybe a chance occurrence that may happen, once or twice in a lifetime if you get high, or somebody special does it for you. We look for a person who will do that for us because it's so lacking in our lives that we have to have a special incident to trigger it off. Which is better than not having any incidents. But it's nice to have it sometimes. But cultivation of this is to home right in there, so that you don't have to have special experiences. It's just special people. It's the way that their heart is. It's its nature. Makes a lot of sense. At least when you look at it, you figure it out intellectually. What is we call the heart, the emotion, that's emotional sensitivity. It is a radiant quality, a reaching out. And why should it be always shut in and tangled up? If it is, as it probably is for most people some of the time, some people most of the time, even all people all the time, then we have to bring in the Metta Bhavana as a cultivation. Personally, I used to find this meditation very difficult because it's always approached as now we think thoughts of loving kindness towards, so and so. Nothing happens. You think the thought, but it doesn't mean anything. Okay, may Pete Brown be well. So what? May Susan Smith be happy. Good for you. You say the words, but nothing happens. You get a kind of feeling of boundless rage, just feel slightly embarrassed. Particularly if you're English, you always feel embarrassed by most everything. particularly anything to do with feelings. And actually, after a while, I started to develop a lot of aversion to non-aversion practices because it always seems so silly. And, what am I doing this for? Sitting here saying these silly words to myself. Because actually, although there's nothing wrong with those inclinations, but the problem is, of course, you can't just, for most people, you can't just induce it by saying a few words. It doesn't. Nothing happens. The words are only, what's written down in a book or said in order to communicate something. Like you say, go west. I mean, you don't actually just say the word go west. You actually move that way. You've got to use the words in order to bring around that kind of volition. And so the words are there to just bring around that kind of volition, that kind of movement of the heart. And sometimes it's difficult to actually get the heart moving anywhere. Particularly if you really feel compressed, congested, oppressed, frightened. In fact, the people who most need to develop it are the people who find it most difficult to get anything going, because you can't find anything that you really feel a sense of benevolence and warmth towards, and then especially yourself. Sometimes you can just kind of bring up something you do feel good about, like kittens, or marshmallows, or just something to get kind of a bit of few rays of sunshine bursting in there through the prison wall. So you can actually just contemplate the feeling of that which you find your heart moves in. So actually, just to get it moving at all. Something that you feel a sense of warm-heartedness towards. I mean, there must be something. But then a lot of it, this is certainly something to do, to recognise that, just to actually be able to induce that experience, is to turn your mind to an image, picture, thought, memory, where that feeling of gratitude or trust or affection, or warmth arises, where you feel that you kind of your sense of expansiveness and restedness. And then a lot of the practice is just actually working into the darkness, the either downright aversion or just that very hard-edged negativity, which needn't be aversion. It can be depression, it can be indifference, it can be callousness, it can be numbness, feeling of lack of worth and so on. Or it can be just an emotional sterility. And to contemplate it with, and then the idea of trying to, with contemplation, is contemplation itself as a certain spaciousness about it. And this is really where non-aversion or metta bhavana begins. Just the sense of being a little less reactive to the reactions. The negative reactions. So first of all, it can be just that allowing a certain space to occur around one's fear or blame or guilt or anger. Just allowing it to occur, to come and to go, and to just be more spacious, accepting. Just to witness it, first of all, can be a major breakthrough. Witnessing it without blaming, without trying to control, without thinking something's going wrong. And this is where, of course, when using the symbol of the Buddha, this is the blessedness of the Buddha as the witnessing. As it's the seed point for radiance, for loving kindness, for compassion, as well as for wisdom. It's the seed point. Without this, without this, you can't turn the balance. You can't change the momentum. You can't turn it over without this seed point of just being able to witness and to watch, and to more qualify that watching by that it's less and less demanding. It's more serene, more equanimous. And serenity is the ground of all of what are called the four radiances. That's loving kindness, compassion, gladness, and a kind of rejoicing at what is good, and equanimity is emotional balance, freedom from ups and downs. And the base of all of them is this serenity, the serenity of Buddha, of being able to witness and to watch without explanations or blame. So that's the beginning point. And if we practiced focusing attention, spreading attention, sharpening attention with other methods, learning how to go into the mind and be able to just hold a little longer around the mental impressions, so that this doesn't just become a complete fog or a hurricane, so that you can actually sustain some awareness of mental phenomena as change, as impermanence. These are all inestimable values and skills that will help towards the practice of metta. So metta bhavana is not separate from insight meditation. It's not like you do one then you do the other. You don't have to choose. It's just when you're practicing mindfulness of the mind, then probably quite naturally what's going to be a very meaningful theme is non-aversion, spaciousness, getting out of your box, out of your constrictedness. And the constrictedness that we experience can be, doesn't have to be from anything heavily traumatic that's happened to you in the past. It can be just physical pain, the tightness of the body, and feeling fed up with it, and trapped in this painful, aching body, or in a dull or uninspiring mental state. It can be like that. Just something arisen because of present that which arises in the present. It can be the constriction of our mind, which we can use to endorse our meditation. Can be a feeling of fear or inadequacy to deal with the complexities, the apparent complexities of life, or of the emotions and feelings we have. So, with that sense of inadequacy, uncertainty, can actually empower us to be very suppressive in our meditation, and think we're just kind of concentrating and really developing something special. So be aware of how to use suppressive means, just that which is necessary, say, if you need it, to enable you to maintain this quality of viveka, of non-attachment, of being able to witness, but no further. As we become more skillful, then that quality of vitakka, vichara, the sustained attention and sustained intelligence, becomes more natural, more continual mode if you exercise it continually. And you don't have to have such a narrow, constrictive focus on your practice. It becomes more meaningful to open it up. because that's one of the fundamental hazards of any meditation practice, is that because it's chosen and determined, then the reasons why it's chosen and determined are not always clearly understood. And we have to keep reviewing. Why do I meditate anyway? What am I trying to see? What am I trying to find? What's on my agenda? And to keep just being aware of that, so that you don't end up turning meditation into a kind of obsession where the self-views are enhanced and strengthened rather than liberated from. Sometimes you can feel you're meditating just so that you don't. That if you don't, you'll blame yourself. You feel you're a slacker. You're not doing it. And you're meditating just because of the fear of your mind will start beating you up if you don't. You're no good. You haven't got anywhere, have you? You're weak. You're weakling. You never stay with anything, do you? That kind of thing. Can be coming up, or it becomes work. We used to call it working with ourselves, and I'd better to say play actually would be better. I think it's a more useful theme rather than work, because work always gets this very heavy-handed. You've got to do my duty, got to get work, got to come up with the goods kind of stuff at the end of the day. I have to think of meditation as like play. Not a silly kind of play, but like the play of theatre or a skillful game where you're really using themes and symbols to create certain conducive spaces in your heart. And of course, these techniques they're plays. They are stages. And this is what stage of meditation you're at. And my stage at the moment is a comedy playhouse. Well, they're like, a stage is a little area. What's called a contemplation, and from the word a temple. And you're creating a temple, and a temple was always originally it was an area of land that was pegged out, marked out, like a pitch, and this was considered a sacred area. And then the idea was you walk inside this little pitch, and then you look at the stars, you look at the movement of birds, and you try to get divine meanings from these. You create a sacred space in which you look with attention and awe and open-mindedness onto the phenomena, natural phenomena. And that's what contemplation is. And meditation is creating the pitch. It's setting up a system. But of course, the pitch is not the system. It's not like the pitch is not the space. It's not the witnessing. Sometimes, when you've been practicing meditation for a little while, and just to be able to go and sit down, and ask, how are you feeling, or what's wrong? That kind of question. What do you need now? What's wrong now? You think, I feel tired. I feel restless. Pain in my hip. I don't know. I feel unloved today. I just feel somebody gave me a hard time today. What is you can just kind of sort of sweep around. And what's wrong? Do you feel blissful or not? If you don't feel blissful, or peaceful. And you don't feel any kind of expansiveness of heart, warm-heartedness, then what is it? And it can be a number of things. It can be something as simple as just physical pain, or you just had an argument with somebody, or you did something silly and you regret it. Or it can be just the whole kind of feeling of not being something you should be doing now, something you should be achieving now, something you should be getting now, and you've missed out. A kind of a real shadow that, without any particular form creating that shadow, just a kind of perpetual shadow of inadequacy. And then we look at these areas, these experiences, and the idea of metta bhavana is you begin to turn towards those rather than act upon them, rather than be motivated by them, or fight with them, or just conceptually proliferate about them. Why am I feeling like this? Because of this. But just touch them, touch the inadequacies, the lack, the hurting, and just go towards it with the mind that's spacious and beginning to cultivate that witnessing quality and accepting. We're going towards it not in order to cast it out, but to accept the shadow. To accept it as vigorously as we can. So in that practice, you can be sitting for 10 minutes, half an hour or so, even longer, just kind of working with that. Even as a regular theme. It's both insightful, it's focused, and it's a practice of metta at the same time. And as you find maybe your attention sharpening and becoming more reliable over time, and you see that really one needs to be able to work into the mind, heart space, and brighten and clear these things that cause us unnecessary suffering. Cultivating metta towards others is this expression, towards all beings, is an extension on the same principle. We mean others. We mean others as we experience them. The sense of somebody other than yourself and how you experience that. Do you feel you have to win people over, get them on your side? Do you feel nervous about them? Do you feel, or do you even kind of cover that by being blustering and aggressive? I don't care about anybody. I'm all right. Which probably means you care so much that you don't even recognise it. So you can do this kind of blustering, hard skin to not have to feel the sense of uncertainty. Because the other is always uncertain. I don't know anybody else at all. I don't know I can't say where anybody else is at all. I don't know where they're at. There were no finding out where I'm at. Anybody else. So and how can it be any other way? The other must be other. And as such it's uncertain. You don't know. It could be dangerous. Could be malevolent. Could be many things. And some of it is. So when we cultivating metta towards others is like looking at maybe one's need to feel you're defusing people's possible attacks. So you're trying to kind of make sure that nobody gives you a hard time and you're kind of pleasing everybody. Trying to do that. Or sealing yourself off from everybody. Trying to do that. Or that kind of hardness. Or just basically getting out of it all. Sometimes because the uncertainty of the moment means that any kind of feeling, any kind of emotion could happen. We might feel threatened, we might feel passionate desire. So you see really that practicing metta with others is really, again, very, very similar. You're just looking at working with how do you deal with the uncertainty? How do you relate? How do you read uncertainty and the unknown? Do you read it as a potentially hostile experience that you have to set up certain systems to handle, defense systems? Can we start to just say, defense systems are painful to me. Maybe if I didn't, can I let down some of them? Can I let down many of them? Is it possible at all to let down all of them? Or at least not to carry them around continually when they're not needed, so you're not continually tensed up and cringing all the time. And these are then things we have to begin to witness where they are and what they are, and just that act of maybe just letting it down a little bit, dropping it a little bit. This is metta bhavana. And out of that you find the kind of, when the walls go down, the heart starts to shine. You feel that radiance. It's just a natural quality. Now you can focus on particular others, friends, so-called acquaintances, and relatives, and then all these various power positions, bosses, governors, parentals, elders, biggers, quickers, strongers, more intelligence, all of the ones who can run rings around you, and actually looking at that feeling that comes up, maybe just contemplating those images, and then the feeling that comes up, and then no longer needing to fight or defend. So we start to dismantle some of these archetypes. When you can clear out some of these things and you begin to experience the mind's radiance, rather like any other aspect of meditation, any of the other fruits that arise from meditation, such as sustained attention, carefulness, mindfulness, these are definite things that become stronger and more natural, then that radiance of the mind becomes a more natural quality, and you can actually start to direct it, and bring it forth, whether it's needed or not. Just the kind of natural blessing of the world, without, when there isn't anything particularly wrong. Just that the heart by itself naturally inclines towards a kind of reaching out, and we should never neglect that opportunity for that kind of exercise. Just as with when you practice mindfulness, then that's That becomes a natural feature of the mind, to notice things. And then on certain times you really kind of strengthen, enhance and focus and push mindfulness towards particular points. When you put more emphasis on it. And similarly with metta, with that radiance of the mind. Because it's something that we realize is so lacking. When you see how difficult it is to experience it in yourself, and even when one has lived perhaps a reasonably okay kind of life, and then you can always consider people who've had it even worse. The poor and the deprived and the chronically ill and the imprisoned and the oppressed and the brutalized and the alone and the unloved and the neglected. So we can, in our meditation and contemplation, just to kind of bring these through the mind, these images and memories through the mind, and to let it be touched by that. Now, it may be, we can say, well, it doesn't do anybody any good. But you realize that your directives from life very much depend upon what your volition, your actions in life very much depend upon what you're aware of and what you can feel good about. What gives you a sense of furtherance is what you find yourself inclining towards, where you feel a sense of furtherance and personal growth. So then things like service and caring become more than just something nice to do for somebody else. They become angles for our personal growth. A personal experience of the radiance of the mind. And in any way in which you serve or help or care for another is always going to bring up the feelings that maybe you can't do enough, or inadequacy, or distress. Some things are really depressing or hard to get results out of. So from that compassion, you become finally a kind of the natural rejoicing of the mind in doing good, in what is good, and equanimity, which is maybe the finest and most sensitive, which is not a lack of radiance or joy or compassion, but that there's no expectation of any result at all. There's no, looking to make things better, which is natural enough, but always tends to cause us wobbling. With any loving action, we want something back. We want improvement. We want somebody to appreciate it, or good results to occur. And because of that little bit of hanging on, then even the kindest actions get stained with a sense of uncertainty or disappointment. How to cultivate with such purity that it's just the radiance, the giving and the sharing, and it's not kind of pressurized and pushed into making things better. Then we find you find a level where there's that metta and kindness are very peaceful experiences and insightful experiences, because you always have to work with that. I want something back. I want you to feel good. I want things to work out well. And we can let go of that. And you find then as things work as well as they can. You can bringing that reflection back into your own situation, your own body-mind experience. I've been practicing metta with this crummy body of mine for the last 5 years, and it still doesn't feel good. I've been practicing metta with my mind states. Why don't I feel happy? We're actually asking for something back. Now, in reality, if you do practice metta in your mind states, they are going to shift and change. But you need to be careful that metta is not just a word, another desire system of, okay, if I give you some metta, will you behave? Will you shut up, kid, if I give you some metta? Yeah, have some metta, now shut up. Which is not really the spirit of the practice. So metta involves naturally, it fruits, it is completed with equanimity. And then the four metta, kindness, karuna, compassion, mudita, rejoicing, enjoying goodness, and equanimity are not separate. They are really four ways of looking at the same thing, the heart's radiance. And it's a radiance with wisdom and insight. Compassion is and love are very attractive concepts and ideas to us. Try thinking also just of mudita, this quality of rejoicing in what is good in yourself and in others, to celebrate what's good, to notice, to pick it up even. You should make a conscious act of noticing what's good in yourself. Won't take long. So there's not much to ask there. But like the thing, and when we have a retreat situation like this, then, for example, just say that to learn to live more simply, to develop a sense of self-discipline, restraint, and a bit of renunciation. That's a very good thing to do. Not everybody can do that, even if you feel lousy with it. And you still, the fact that one can actually develop that sense of, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to stay with it. That is worthy of respect. That's a good quality. If you sit, and you come to a sitting and you feel pretty out of it, but you still, sort of like a resolution to keep practicing, to keep with it, is worthy of celebrating that quality. The Buddha mind itself, that witnessing in our own mind, is a great source of delight. It's the greatest celebration we can experience, to recognize that within us is that which goes beyond every birth and death that you can experience in this lifetime. Every thought, every moment, every fear, every dread, every attainment, every loss of it. There's that. And to celebrate that. To celebrate the fact that there's a whole assembly of people. And so you get the feeling of confidence that it's not just some odd thing that you're kind of hidden away in your loft of your house doing as some kind of crank, but that you can actually come out, as it were. And so you feel like a natural way of being. You can, with like-minded people. That's something worth celebrating. Well, I find, like with group practice, for example, you've got to look at it that way, because otherwise there's very little advantage in it. If you don't experience a sense of gladness at this, witnessing the practice of others, being part of the practice of others, not just kind of an isolated quirk, but part of something grand and vast that takes along all different kinds of characters and mind states and people and ages and groups of all kinds. Part of that's a celebration, to be part of the awakening of humanity. And these reflections, these openings, when that radiance of the mind takes us into a vastness, rather than the tendency to get very petty and small, and always, I'm not doing this very well, and why, when am I going to get out of it? I'm not very well, and you get kind of very narrow-minded, and your mind gets kind of crabby. If you don't at least exercise sometime the sense of vision and grandness and all-encompassing and sangha and the totality of beings, and all the beings in this retreat, and all the beings in this retreat center, and all the staff and the administrators and all the teachers who've come and gone before, and all the people who brought this tradition along, and all the enlightened ones of the past, and all the good practices of the past, the Sangha, who if it wasn't for them, then this lifeline would have been broken. The rejoicing in that and the sense of belonging to that, then we find we tap into the radiance of the Spirit, into a life channel that can take you along when your own willpower and your own sense of what I'm doing starts to falter and get shaky. And that, just to turn on to that, is maybe the strongest basis for the fruition of Metta Bhavana, the radiance of the mind. Because it's not something you have to create, it's just to stop creating the things that block it. The fears and the powers and the fixed entities and the past and the future and the self. And then this is a natural expression. As you practice today, just kind of consider like practicing in a context of however many people there are here. So you move around as one element in a totality. You're cleaning things, you're kind of serving people. When you're cleaning up, you're cleaning up for the welfare of others. When you're serving people, it's for the welfare of others. Others are helping you. The teachers are helping you. You should be helping them. With your practice. And how beautiful it is, the smallest action of kindness towards another human, just like, smiling doesn't involve a tremendous amount of effort. Just to kind of look and smile at another human. Just kind of stand back, offer. Not, why should I offer anything to you? You're just as good. I know you're no better than I am. But how to just offer to each other. Offering a seat, offering a place, passing things along, helping out. It doesn't have to be a kind of compulsive restlessness, but to recognise that, to relate to that chance in life, where there's no personalities involved. You don't have to talk to anybody. You don't have to win anybody over. It's just purely the people here, they'll be come and they'll be gone. You're somebody you never see again in your life. There's no holding. You're not trying to establish fixed relationships. You're just cultivating that free. No need to return anything. Just that free flow of the natural radiance of the mind.